Hello, welcome to another Tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration with your painter in residence. I'm Francis McCarthy, and welcome as well to day 18 of the Past Masters Series, Volume 2. The painting that we are doing today is by, well, it's a study after, I should say, Alexander Wyant. It's called Arkville Landscape, and my painting is a 7x10. I have no clue what size his is. We've done some studies after Wyant before. He's a good painter. He's not one of my favorites though. I don't love every Wyant I've ever seen, like I would with say a Murphy or most of Charles Warren Eaton's work. But I will, since it's been a while, I'll just read you a little quick bio. This is from the site Artsy, who's got a lot of great information on traditional painters, but also has heaps of information on a bunch of really awful modern artists. So, just so you know. Hudson River School and tonalist artist Alexander Wyant was drawn to the wilderness, especially dappled clearings at dusk saturated with silvery light. Well, this is well written. His late work moved to a conceptual abstraction and spirituality that placed him at the forefront of modern American painting. That's enough. If you like Wyant, go ahead and put his name into the search engine. And there's quite a few good paintings. I'm looking at a few here I really like on this artsy site. But in general, I'm a bit hit or miss with him. Now, interestingly, on this painting, for some reason, so you know what I do. I mean, I go looking around for tonalist reference, and it can even be quite low resolution. This one had like this really cool gray quality to it, which I warmed up a lot. And whether I went too far or not, I don't know. It almost became sort of a study in cool versus warm tones. So grays and things. All his colors are kind of muted. Nothing jumps out at you. He would either be on a cool side or a warm side in his paintings. But my painting kind of took on some very interesting characteristics of both. So, and all in all, I think it's a successful painting. It was maybe one of the first ones I got into after a pretty big hiatus from doing studies. So, and like this kind of sky is a bit of a challenge for me, and it's very representative of a lot of skies Wyant does, where there's not a lot going on there. I tend to like a bit more defined composition in my skies, but I do have strategies for dealing with these sorts of skies, and you're seeing it right now. Kind of a more patchy approach, alternating with warm and cool strokes, and I think it works pretty well, to be honest. Anyway, there was something. Sometimes I think about things I'd like to talk about here, and one of the things I've been thinking about a bit lately. I have 2 students now, which is quite a lot for me. I generally like to have no more than 1 student a week, because I find it, I put a lot into my teaching, and I find it first of all, it takes away from painting, of course, but also it does require a lot of mental energy, which is all good. I don't mind. I really do like helping people, and this is one of the reasons for this channel. However, like, doing videos doesn't sap me at all, because I basically just do and say whatever I want, and you either watch it or you don't. Whereas interactions with a real life student aren't like that, and I always tailor my teaching very much to the students, to try and help them develop in ways that they want to develop, not ways that I have developed, and I have a breadth of experience based on my years as a commercial illustrator, and before that, just a person that went about the mastery of drawing and things, and the study of graphic styles, and things like inking for comic books and pen and ink work in general, actually, which is something I don't get into at all anymore. And I'd say the main reason for that is because I can do it all with oil paint and color, so I don't see any real point in the black and white thing. That's not to say I won't get back into it, though. I might at some point. We'll surprise you maybe one day. Anyway, the topic I was thinking about, because I went out and I got a what's called a technical pen or a rapidograph for one of my students, and these were very popular in the 70s when I was a young person learning art. And one of the reasons that they were popular, on one hand, they put out a very consistent line. They were originally designed for things like graph drawers and things like that would be, if you saw this arm on a graph, drawing a line, that would have been a technical pen or a rapidograph. In many cases, but these things also were used in illustration for things like drawing backgrounds and things, where a consistent line weight was desirable because you don't want these things to pop out. But you can use them to make art. You can make a heck of a lot of art with them. One of the greatest practitioners of the rapidograph was Robert Crumb. If you're not familiar with him, pop that name into Google and you'll see what a modern genius he is. One of the greatest artists of all time, I have to say. Anyway, I did a lot of work with technical pens, and a lot of it was the big attraction to the technical pen is that you don't have to dip it in ink. You don't have a mess. You just and you get a 100% India ink, totally black line, which felt pens will not give you. So that's enough about technical pens. It's not really the topic of our conversation today, but it's important to give you some background on them because the artist that I'm working with likes to do a lot of line drawings and is very, very good at them. But uses felt pens for most of what she's doing now. And my strong feeling is that a technical pen will give her a better result. Now, this leads us, in my roundabout way, to the topic of our conversation today, and that is that little things can be extremely critical to your work, but not every little thing is critical to your work. Discrimination is extremely important when it comes to art. Now, we have a sense that we can, as an artist, if we have some experience and that we can persevere with really mediocre art supplies and sometimes make okay paintings and okay drawings. Things like felt pens, for example. We can make a nice drawing with a felt pen. People will like it. We can scan it, reproduce it, color it in the computer, and we'll be on our way. Same would go for paints. You can try and save money and use really cheap brushes, and you might, especially if you're a good experienced painter, you might be able to make a very nice painting with these cheap, awful brushes. But I'll tell you, if you're a painter just starting out, you're going to be struggling because you're going to be trying to make gestural marks, and the brush is going to be letting you down. It's going to be dropping hairs. It's not going to be a very good means of expressing yourself. So I always recommend to my students and to you guys that watch these videos to invest in good quality brushes. Now, sometimes you can find good quality brushes for cheap. I just bought a bunch of DOS brushes, and I don't know what happened to DOS, but they started making good brushes for a very reasonable amount of money. And I've been using quite a lot of them. So there's a little tip for you. I actually could look and see what you just look at DOS. It's D period A period A period S period. They do some good brushes. Anyway, getting back to this student in this technical pen. She's working with a felt pen. And it's a type of felt pen that's been around for 30 years. I'm familiar with it. I can't remember the actual name of the brand right now, but it puts out a permanent sort of ink line. However, if you were to scan this line, you would see that the edges of the line itself they break up with the paper, and they don't give you a super fluid type of line that India ink would. So basically, I have got a technical pen for this student, and whether she will want it or not, I don't know. But this is a case where that's a little thing, and actually it's not such a little thing because this pen's really expensive, especially compared to a felt pen. Also, I should point out with technical pens that they're brilliant in that you don't have to dip them in the ink bottles, but they have a tendency to clog, and you have to maintain them. That's a bit of a pain. That is their single biggest pain, and the thinner that the line is, the more that they clog, and that can be extremely frustrating to the point where I have many times thrown these things against a wall, or stomped on them, or just got very angry with them because I would even go through the whole cleaning process only to discover that they didn't work anymore at all. So they're not a perfect solution. However, I think they are for this particular person, and this is a case where this is a little thing. You might say, well, she draws the way she draws, and she's working for reproduction anyway. What's this going to matter? Well, it will matter. I believe it'll matter, and this is a case where some little things matter quite a lot, and some little things don't matter. Like, let's think of a little thing that doesn't matter. Okay, a little thing that doesn't matter might be the paper you're working on with a drawing. If it's smooth and not too porous, it'll work. I often advise, especially for just pencil drawing. Inking is a little bit of a different thing, but if you're just drawing, I recommend to my students to just get a ream of copier paper. And the reason for this is, as opposed to a sketchbook full of very, very fine paper. Now, this is a personality thing, so some of you, this might not be the best advice, but for people that are my personality type and have my sort of approach and problems, I think it is good advice, because my experience with fancy sketchbooks with really nice paper is that I might do a good drawing or two in them, but the second I do a bad drawing or two in them, I don't want to cut the page out because it's going to mar the book. And what I'll end up doing is I'll just stick it in the bookshelf, and I have quite a few sketchbooks with just a few drawings in them, and the rest of the book is blank, and I'll be willing to bet that I'm not the only one. Whereas, and so this might actually keep someone from drawing, okay? Which is silly, because you need to draw a lot if you want to get good. So I recommend people get a ream of paper, just draw on that, and say, I'm not a big believer, by the way, in doing drawings for drawing's sake. If that's your bag, then go ahead and do that, and do it on nice paper, like some really nice cold press arches or something. And your pencil in that case is going to be something like a painting done with a pencil. But for day in, day out drawing, it's a little thing. It doesn't matter, really. What matters is the drawing and the experience. So there, I've given you both sides of the coin, hopefully, but I just wanted to address that. Some little things matter a lot. The quality of your paint matters. If it's not full of good pigment, good quality pigment, you'll struggle to get a nice result. The quality of brushes matters, because if they're not accurately representing the flow of your brush strokes, then you're struggling, and that could kill you. The quality of your surface matters. I can't work on super coarse canvases, not with little paintings. That's why I do what I do. Anyway, I can say we're getting close to the end right now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll be back real soon with another video. Be one of my paintings. Be middle of next week. So meanwhile, hopefully you enjoy this study after good old Alex Wyant. And until next time, till I see you, please take good care and stay out of trouble.